All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. Big whopper in the headlines today. This comes courtesy of the New York Post. Gabby Petito was in 2013 Irreplaceable music video for Sandy Hook. And before I even get into this, maybe I'll just start with an example since Americans care more about football than most other things going on in the world right now. Again, we've been doing this for 8 years. I'm about to show you this is nothing new. This isn't some kind of surprise. This isn't even exciting to me anymore because I've done this like a gazillion times in my lifetime already. But I just want you to see this little clip from the knowledge I'm about to share with you about what's really behind this Gabby Petito story today and what a script this is. A lot like your Monday Night Football's a script where the announcer's always telling you they couldn't have scripted it any better. I want you to see me talking about the script of Monday Night Football, which played out tonight from the date September 25th. So today's September 27th. Eagles at Cowboys. And I just want you to hear what I had to say about the Dallas game. And then we're going to talk about what the score ended up being tonight. And then we'll talk about who's behind the script of Monday Night Football, who's behind the script of Gabby Petito, which is a bullshit story made for TV. That's why now the dog, the bounty hunter, another reality star's involved. And again, it's the same gang that's behind all of this. So here's September 25th, 2 days ago. Listen. Okay, and then Monday's on a 41 date numerology. Dallas is 41, and look at all the 41 in this game. Cowboys can get their 41st home win over the Eagles. Dak can improve to 4-1 at home versus Philly. And Dak can also improve to 4-1 on Monday Night Football. You know what I mean? That is a lot of 41. I mean, what are the odds of that? On the 41 date numerology, all those 41s. So, if that doesn't happen, man, they must have flipped the script. I mean, that's just... Well, I'll tell you this much. They didn't flip the script at all. And look, you guys. Cowboys, 41, right? Now, you know who the head coach of the Cowboys is? He's Mike McCarthy, the same guy whose brother dropped dead at age 47. He's a Super Bowl winner, the first Super Bowl in the 47th season of the NFL. Again, if you learn the code, you realize the numbers are a language. 41 has meaning. 47 has meaning. Written books about this. It's a lot to explain. But 41 connects to the gematria of Dallas. So that's why we're saying, man, all those 41s, Dallas hosting, primetime, 41 date numerology. Well, look at this. I want to show you about Mike McCarthy, the head coach of the team. His birthday is November 10th. November 10th, right? And take a look at this. From November 10th, from his birthday, his last birthday, his 57th birthday, to the game today, September 27th. Today is his 322nd day of his age, 322. And we're going to bring this back to Sandy Hook, right? Because Gabby Petito was in the Sandy Hook tribute video. But Sandy Hook was in Connecticut, where Yale is, where Skull and Bones is. And the Bush family has big connections in Texas. You know, they used to run the baseball team right across the street from the Dallas Cowboys. And the thing about 41 is George Herbert Walker Bush was the 41st president, and he was the first admitted member of Skull and Bones that was in the Oval Office. Number 41, George Herbert Walker Bush, who died November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41. But if you're new here, in Gematria, when I first began this research, you really got to know all these ciphers on the screen. But when I first began, 90% of my work was just with this cipher. So I've always been talking about Skull and Bones and 41. I learned how to do this from Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. But I thought, wow, when I first started, I thought that was interesting because Skull and Bones 41, George Herbert Walker Bush number 41. The only other cipher I knew at the beginning was this one, and where Skull and Bones is at Yale in Connecticut. Yale is 43. George Herbert Walker Bush was the 43rd vice president. His son was the 43rd president, who was also a member of Skull and Bones. And his other son, Jeb Bush, was the 43rd governor of Florida when the election came down to Florida, where his brother became the 43rd president. And then, of course, Brady went to Florida at age 43. And if you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, Florida is also 43 like football. And American football is credited to Walter Camp, who went to Yale and was likely a member of Skull and Bones. So tonight, on Mike McCarthy's 322nd day of his age, a number associated with Skull and Bones, because that's their building number at the Yale campus, 322. And then 41's what's encoded in the language. Today, on his 322nd day of his age, you get this massive 41 ritual. I mean, you think about how massive it is. The 41st all-time win at home between Dallas and Philly. And think of it, I mean, it's not random, you guys. There's 17 weeks now in the regular season, the NFL season. They're either going to have 16 or 17 Monday Night Football games. There might not be one the last week. But again, it's not random that they chose to have this ritual on the 41 date numerology. Dak became 4-1 on Monday Night Football and 4-1 versus the Eagles, and then ended up winning with 41 points. See, I can't explain to you guys, if you're new here, how many times we've done this over the 8 years we've been here, because we call games every day, and just so often the exact number you call for the game is exactly what the score ends up being. You know, again and again and again and again and again and again. And when you know gematria, this practice coding numbers into words, you see that the numbers have meaning. So the Gabby Petito video, you might think it's mistitled so far, but now we're going to bring it to Gabby Petito, because the thing is, the videos I did on her disappearance, I've already shown who's behind all this, which is the Jesuit order. Again, if you're new here, Skull and Bones, the powerful secret society at Yale, they get their symbolism from how the Knights Templar buried their dead. The Knights Templar are considered the extinct military order of the Catholic Church. The newer order is the Jesuit order, who have the Templar cross on their logo. The Jesuits are who are behind all these rituals and who run the show at this day and age we now live in. And what they are within the Catholic Church is something that goes all the way back to Babylon. It's older than the church itself, but this is where it exists today. This is its power. This is its influence. This is where all of this comes from. And again, if you want to deny that, then you are truly in denial, because the facts are plentiful and the pile gets, bigger than Everest day after day. And with regards to Gabby Petito, let's now go over all of this. And just before I started the live stream, I just found out that Google deleted another one of my older posts. What sucks is when I started my blog, it was on a website not owned by Google. But maybe 5 or 6 years back, Google bought that site. And now Google, over the course of the last 3 years, has been slowly deleting old posts of mine, which is very frustrating, because some of them are some of my best posts ever, with just like massive amounts of information where I spent hours making the post. I mean, they're like deleting like untold amount of time of research, and then, just putting the post together, the screenshots, writing it all out. I mean, hours and hours of work. Google's just deleting that in the click of a button. And I just found out another one of my classic posts about Sandy Hook and 112 has been deleted. And here, I want you to see what a joke this is. If you're new here, I've taught about Sandy Hook and 112 a million times. My first book has a whole chapter on it. My second book, here, let me check to make sure I'm not misspeaking. I'm pretty sure, I know in my first book I go into 112 and Sandy Hook in a huge way. Let me make sure in my latest book, Number Games, I think I even bring up Sandy Hook and 112 in there. But I just want you to see the New York Post, their story on this today is 1:12 long. And again, this is not an accident, you guys. The media has been abusing 112 with the Sandy Hook story since the day the news broke. And again, you don't catch these things unless you're paying attention. And then when you learn gematria, you realize, wow, I see why they keep coding 112 with Sandy Hook. But hold on. I want to see if I put Sandy Hook in here. Let's see. Okay, I definitely talk about 112. 112 is first mentioned on page 15 in this book right here. Because I have several examples of, because it all goes back to the same gang. Again, there's a reason the Jesuits claim to operate in 112 countries. And again, today this Gabby Petito story is breaking on the day the Jesuits were recognized by Roman history. It's just, I'm trying to see. I'm sure it is in here because I talk a lot about 112. Bear with me one moment. I'm scanning through the ebook version. It's just I talked about 112 a whole lot in the book, so I have to get to the part where I talked about it with Sandy Hook. It's every time I go back through my own book, I'm reminded of all the just like it's like, oh yeah, I forgot that. I let that. I see that. I mean, that's the beauty of like even though I remember a lot of things. I mean, when I look back over my old work, I'm like, oh yeah, there's another one. I got a lot of 112 stuff in here. Where's the part on Sandy? Oh, here it is, page 192. Sorry about that. That was pretty like, how boring is this? Page 192 in this book. Here. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Oh, I'm looking at page 193 in the book. I was like, why is it not there? It should be right there. Okay. Right before 112, I'm talking about 54. If you've been following me today, I've been talking about 54 all day. Look at this. For another, both shootings, June 12th, 2016 and February 14th, 2018, were on 54 date numerology. Again, we've been talking about 54, all the 54 rituals all day today. Jesuit Order 54. A murder that points straight to the Jesuits, the same as 112. I bring up the latter number because of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting on December 14th, 2012, reportedly carried out by a 112-pound Adam Lanza, a stat every mainstream news outlet was sure to report as if it was important. It was not by accident. It was because Sandy Hook sums to 112 with simple English, and adding on to the list, it was reported that Adam Lanza was born April 22nd, the 112th day of the year, and had the initials AL, or 112. A's the first letter, L's the 12th. Not by chance, the Sandy Hook incident was compared to the Dune Blaine massacre of March 13, 96, a date with 112 numerology that resulted in gun rights being taken away in the UK. Keep in mind, using Jewish gematria, Dune Blaine massacre sums to 612, the same as the phrase Orlando Strong. Blah, blah, blah. What's funny is, long ago, Google deleted my post on mass shootings in 612, and now what I just found out is they deleted my mass posts on 112 in Sandy Hook, where I had all sorts of screenshots, Noah Posner's birth certificate, because it's a 112 date. And that was the only birth certificate put out of a child that supposedly died, was Noah Posner. And his dad, Lenny Posner, who runs the online censorship organization that's getting everything scrubbed from the internet related to Sandy Hook. And it's like, well, wait a minute, man. If it really happened, why do you need to scrub the internet of anything questioning it? I mean, why did my video need to get or not my video, but my post that I just found out's been deleted? Look at this, you guys. Here, I just found this out right before I started the stream, that my old one, whoops, I'm on the wrong thing. My old 112 post was taken. Let's see, is this the right? Wait, where's it at? Maybe I forgot to link it. Okay, well, hold on. Here's how I just found out. Get to it this way. Okay, the guy who was arrested the day of Sandy Hook with the mustache and then later released, there was a story from recently. This was on the May 24th, the 144th day of the year, Jesuit Order. There was a manhunt for his nephew 112 days after his birthday. And in this post that I made at the time, I linked my old Facebook, or not Facebook, but my old Free to Find Truth post on 112. And look, sorry, the page you were looking for in this blog does not exist. So this is what they've done to a number of my posts over the years now. They've just deleted them. And then this is what happens. And the thing was, this was a massive post with all this stuff about Dune Blaine and the tennis player. What's his name? The famous tennis player. If you look into this in Dune Blaine and tennis, you'll find who I'm talking about. One of the best tennis players in the world supposedly survived the Dune Blaine massacre. And Again, it was targeting of first graders, and just like Sandy Hook, and first graders is another 144 thing, like Jesuit order. But yeah, it's frustrating to have this happen, because when I started on this website was not owned by Google when I first started posting on here. You know what I mean? And that just shows you what's wrong with the day and age, is these companies buying up everything, and then next thing you know, your content's censored by them because that's their policy. They censor anything questioning Sandy Hook. It's like, dude, you can't do that to people. You guys didn't own this when I started, and that was hours of work you just deleted. And what was wrong with it? I didn't make any accusations. I just said, what's up with all the 112? Well, the accusation I'm making is the Jesuits are behind this, and I know I'm right about that. You know, I know that for sure, the Jesuits who claim to operate in 112 countries. And again, I mean, could it be any more obvious on a day like today? This story, we already saw that Gabby Petito was a huge Jesuit ritual. We made that crystal clear. And then, on the biggest Jesuit day of all this, the Minute 12 story. But yeah, you guys, just using the most simple cipher. The most simple cipher. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, Sandy Hook, 112, right? 112. Adam Lanza, look it up. April 22nd birthday, 112th day of the year. A-L. A, the first letter, so A is 1, right? Adam Lanza, A-L, L-12. A-L 112. Born on the 112th day of the year. All the news media that reported he weighed 112 pounds. And they still haven't scrubbed the internet of this. Just type in Adam Lanza, 112 pounds, and look. You know, CNN. And weighed only 112 pounds. The Courant, who weighed 112 pounds. You know, the Wikipedia mentions he weighed 112 pounds. NPR, Adam Lanza, killed 26, was 6 feet tall, and weighed only 112 pounds. Did you catch that? That 26 and 6 feet tall, 266, Jesus Hominum Salvator, Jesuit motto, 266, Pope Francis, the 266th Pope, the first Jesuit. New York Times, Jesuit controlled, 112 pounds. Newsweek, 112 pounds. Everybody, you guys. And it was on TV at the time, too. They'd be talking about it and bring up how he weighed 112 pounds. And I'd be like, looking at other people around me, be like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound right. 6 feet, 112 pounds. But what the hell, man? Why is that even part of the story? Are they trying to like make it seem like anorexic males might be the next mass shooters? You know what I mean? Is there a man that's 6 feet tall and 112 pounds? Does that even exist? That sounds like a walking skeleton. Skull and Bones, Connecticut, not far away. Is that part of the joke? Again, Skull and Bones is Catholic, you guys, and the most simple cipher, Catholicism, is 112 as well, right? This shooting's right down the street from Yale Skull and Bones, and they're pretty much telling you that a walking skeleton did the mass shooting. Here, I'm exaggerating a little bit. I don't know what a human skeleton weighs. Let's see. What does an adult human skeleton weigh? A human skeleton accounts for approximately 15% of their total body weight, so a lot less than 112 pounds, but still. I mean, if a guy was 6 feet, 112, I'm pretty skinny right now because we've been fasting a lot, not eating carbs. I'm 5'10", about 155 pounds right now. I mean, I can't imagine if I was a little bit taller and 40 less pounds. I mean, so. But Catholicism 112, and again, mathematics is 112. 1 plus 1 is 2. The language is a code. First grade shooting that got gun rights taken away in the UK on a 112 date numerology, Doon Blaine massacre. You know what I mean? Now today they got to give us the minute 12 video coming back to Sandy Hook. You know what? I haven't even watched this. Let's watch the video. And then I want to talk about the encoding of Irreplaceable because I actually learned something new today that's important about the Jesuits. You know, that's the thing about sticking with things over time. You learn more and more as time goes on. Today I learned something that I didn't realize before that now just makes so much sense to me. I got to figure out a way to tuck it in the book. I knew if I waited until September 27th to at least finish the book, I'd learn one new thing that would be important, and I learned it today, and now I understand why all day the news was saturated with 82. It's like, wow, now I see. But here, let's watch the New York Post minute 12 story. Minute 12, 72 seconds as well, right? Jesuit Order 72, School 72. Then we'll go back. If you missed my work on Gabby Petito, the Jesuit Ritual, Kristen Smart right after that, we'll look at that. But here, let's start right here. So, did you see how they were emphasizing her being 14 when she was in the video? Remember, the Sandy Hook shooting was on December 14th. And again, the reason I tell you guys if you can only have one cipher, it's the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Look at Utah. Utah's 14, right? So is dead. Dead is 14. End is 14. It's a story about a dead woman, right? Who was last seen on video getting pulled over by a police officer, supposedly in Utah, where he didn't even ask for license and registration. Makes you go, what kind of cop is that? Maybe a reality TV cop, about as real as Dog the Bounty Hunter, But it's just it's so obvious, you guys. It's so obvious. Dead 14, N 14, the video in Utah, Sandy Hook on the 14th, dead children. The way they're emphasizing the number. Oh, her at 14. Sandy Hook, December 14th. Again, the fact that people don't catch on to these things and they think they're just coincidences and it's done to them day after day, it shows you that something is really wrong with people. The fact that more people don't question the Sandy Hook shooting shows that there's something wrong with people. All day, the news terrified parents showing 3 men in fatigues running out the back of a school into woods. All day, they showed the same clip over and over. Everyone was freaking out about it that day. I know it was that way because I worked at a private school just outside of Seattle in Bellevue, Washington at the time, where all the stay-at-home moms, who mostly had husbands that worked at Microsoft, they were all rushing into school early that day and wanted to take their children out of school early. I mean, the school was over halfway empty before the day was over because so many parents came in and picked up their child early. And again, that was a unique school because you have these wealthy parents staying at home, watching TV. And I thought, God, don't they know Connecticut's like thousands of miles away? What, they think just because there's a shooting there's going to be one at their school today? I mean, come on, people. But again, it shows the power of the TV over people's minds. Just the fear and the instant reaction, the overreaction, But again, it's just... Here, with regards to the Jesuits being behind all this, okay. And behind all this, I mean like the pandemic too. This whole pandemic's a huge Jesuit ritual. But look how all these stories come together. Here's one from the beginning of the year. A first responder to the Sandy Hook shootings has died of COVID-19, right? And, this is the beginning of this year, long after my book came out. Number Games 9/11 to Coronavirus, showing the meaning of 56 to the Society of Jesus, which is the Jesuit order, and how important it is to all these rituals, including Sandy Hook. But look at this. They have him posing next to a license plate where all that's showing is the 56, and he's supposedly dead from coronavirus, right? And again, Society of Jesus in Gematria is 56, and the most important cipher. The Sandy Hook School was established in 56, and the shooting was in 2012, meaning 56 years later. And again, the Jesuits say they operate in 112 countries, or the Society of Jesus. And even in this post, just making the point about I've made the point about 112 so many times with Sandy Hook, it's ridiculous. So I mean, that's just why I hate that. Like, it's like, why am I still having to explain this stuff in 2021? I mean, it's just painful, man. I've taught this knowledge ice cold. It's been proven a gazillion times over. This type of thing today has happened so many times. Just like, oh, another Sandy Hook 112 tribute, right? It just doesn't stop, right? It's going to continue on and on and on and on for as long as they talk about Sandy Hook. And meanwhile, people are going to continue to ignore the knowledge and what's really going on, that they're being taken by propaganda, psychological warfare to steer them down the path of giving up all their rights and liberties and sovereignty. I mean, that's what this is, and people don't see it. They think like, oh, well, these are just the times we live in, and this is what we have to do to be safe. It's like, okay, there are things actually in this world that are more important than just your personal safety at this point. Like giving up every inch of a quality way of life, which we are doing at the moment. We're just giving up everything that's decent and right in this world. All because supposedly there's some killer germs out there. And I got to tell you, I just don't know where they're at, man. I haven't been following any of the rules. I almost stopped washing my hands the last 2 years. I've been out in public every day, no mask, no shots, nothing. I've been healthy as everything. I can't get sick. I had a crazy guy threatening me to murder me, sending me pictures of a knife. And I said, where are you staying at, man? Let's come over there and see what it's all about. And I came over there, and he comes out. He's the tiniest guy there ever was in the world. And he backed down. He was mad because he thought I was ignoring him, and he traveled all the way from Memphis to be out here. And I didn't know if he was full of shit. I get trolled and harassed all the time. But anyway, when I meet this guy, and how many of you would go meet some guy who's threatening you with a knife and shit? I had to put it to an end because the guy was harassing me nonstop. But the thing was, when I met him, the dude was sick as everything. And he's like, man, this is the sickest I've ever been. He's like sneezing and coughing everywhere. I didn't even get sick from this guy. And I ended up giving that guy a ride in my car. I took him to get some food because he was hungry. And I mean, he was messed up in the head, this guy, for sure. But I mean, I'm just bringing this up just to make the point. Like, in the time of this killer pandemic, I literally went and met a crazy person, ended up driving them all over the place, including out of town because they needed to get to somewhere else, and in the car with him while he's sick and coughing the whole time everywhere. I'm still not getting sick. And you know why? Part of it's because it's all mental. I always expect to be healthy. I've almost always been healthy in my life. When I've been sick, it's just been barely. Except for at the end of 2019. There was something real nasty that went through Washington State where I'm in at the end of 2019 before the whole COVID thing, when supposedly COVID was in China. I'm up here near Bill Gates' experimental land, and maybe that is all why I've been so healthy. Whatever they hit us with, like, super boosted our immune system if we survived it. But anyway, the point I'm making is, I'm not living in this world where I'm letting the TV do my thinking for me and getting all anxious about the bullshit they report. I'm living in the world and seeing things for what they are. That we're being lied to, that we're being controlled, that we're being steered astray, that we're constantly being made to live in fear when we don't need to. And again, trying to wake up my fellow man so we can do something about it. Dummies come here and be like, what's the point of knowing this? It's like, do you know how dumb you got to be to ask that question? What's the point of knowing what the fuck's going on in your world, sorry-ass motherfucker? Look at how you already went out and got 3 booster shots, dipshit. That's why you're so fucking dumb and can't see the obvious. You got to ask the most obvious fucking questions with 3 shots in your arm from killer Pfizer. Have you ever done any research on Pfizer, moron? The most sued company in the history of the world for wrongful death and injury? The same one your government first approved to rush out criminal vaccines for a supposed illness that I don't even know if it's really out there. I don't know if anybody should really know that it's out there. I don't know anything that's been different. There were no more deaths in 2020 than 2019 or any other year. They started running up the numbers for flu and pneumonia deaths. Every year there's hundreds of thousands that could die from that. Pneumonia is a major killer of the elderly and ill every year. But it's the Jesuits doing all this and just treating us like we're morons. And here, I learned something new today. Here's the thing that I learned that's new. Well, hold on. I didn't do the Gabby Petito Jesuit thing. But look at this. Look at this Fox News story of Gabby Petito with the window pane that looks like an upside-down cross. This story came right after her body was supposedly found on Sunday, Catholic Jesuit Day, September 19th, 19/9, like 199 the 46th prime at the Grand Teton Parks in Wyoming. Grand Teton Sacrifice 46, Catholic Religion 46, 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. Joe Biden, the number 46, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. JFK killed at age 46. Beau Biden dead at 46. You know the list. But Gabby Petito, from her birthday to the day she disappeared, 9/11, that was 177 days. And the Jesuit order is 177 and 69. The day that she was found was a date with 69 numerology, right? She disappeared 177 days from her birthday. She's found on a 69 date numerology. The Jesuit order 17769. And then Petito 8577, like September 11th, like Christ. We're talking about the Jesuit order, the Society of Jesus. And then the boyfriend's name, French, like the Jesuits are from France. Laundry, Jesuit, Sunday, all the same. And, but here's the new thing. Here's what I realized today. All day I've been decoding, and I haven't even documented most of these. It's been driving me nuts all day what's going on with the 82. Because remember the first story today that CNN had up on their front page? The first story that they had up today was this. This was CNN's front page at the beginning of today, the big Jesuit day. Pills to treat COVID-19 might be the way to get back to normal. And as you can see on the pill, there's a 82, right? And again, if you read the story, the pills are being developed in Seattle, where they're being experimented with. Seattle and COVID are 82, which we've talked about all year. That was nothing new. We've been talking about that, well, for more than all year. All of last year, all this year. I've been talking about 82 and Seattle rituals and sports and stuff for a long time, but it's been big with COVID. And remember, the first confirmed case of COVID in the world was in Seattle, Bill Gates land. First confirmed case outside of mainland China. But this song, Irreplaceable, is 82, right? And what I realized, because all day I've just been decoding stories and been like, wow, another 82, another 82. Like even the R. Kelly, which is a huge Jesuit ritual, sex trafficking 82. So I was like, okay, there's got to be something more to the 82 than I'm realizing here in terms of the Jesuits. So I started to think, and I was like, have I ever talked about an 82 with the Jesuits? I was like, wait a minute, is the name Loyola 82? Ignatius of Loyola is the founder of the Jesuits. And I looked and I was like, okay, Loyola is 82. And again, that's obviously what it is, because they're going crazy today with 82. I'm telling you, every story I've looked at today has had 82 encoded, and I've been like, why? But here it is. And something I haven't looked up the entire time is what the meaning of Loyola is. This answered a question I've had for a while. The name Loyola is believed to be derived from the Spanish lobo iola, which means wolf and kettle. Now, if you look at the Jesuit universities in the world, a lot of them are the wolf pack, okay? And I find that real curious in light of them being the Society of Jesus, because the way wolves are used in the mention of wolves in the gospel, the story of Jesus, is in Matthew 7:15 through 20. Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. And it's funny that people accuse me of being that. I don't come at you like a sheep, and if anything, I show you. I don't consider myself what this Bible's saying, but I show you like all that I am in every video I make. I don't try to filter myself, really. I don't try to pretend to be anything. I am the way I am. Frustrated, mad at the world, sick of idiocy and ignorance, and apathy. I'm just sick of living in bullshit. I know the world's not supposed to be this way. I see what's wrong with the world and what the solution should be. It's just you live in this world that's a system where if you do what you're supposed to do, I'm telling you, part of the reason they're training you that mass shootings and stuff are evil is because actually that might be what needs to happen. People might really need to start blowing away their fellow man in this world. As sad as that is to say, I wish it wasn't that way, but there is a lot of dead weight in this nation dragging us all to hell. And just look at what's going on right now, you guys. Look at what's going on right now with your fellow man going along with the tyranny of the tyrants, the in open sight fascism, and expecting you to go along, and then like getting crazy about how things need to be done about people like me for not getting a vaccine and going along with all this bullshit. You don't think I have the right to blow off Stout Howard Stern's fucking head and anyone else who thinks like him? You're wrong. And you probably believe in some bullshit belief system, the word with lie at the middle. I have the human right all day to blow off Howard Stern's fucking head for the types of things him and others have said about what needs to be done with people like me who've been right the whole time. Howard Stern's been a mouthpiece for all the lies from 9/11 to coronavirus. And so have a lot of other people, and these people need to fucking go, to be perfectly frank about it. They need to be exterminated from the earth. And that's not crazy talk. That's called real survival talk. See, I'm not interested in getting Pfizer's vaccine for my survival. What I am interested in doing is getting rid of people like Howard Stern and literally probably over half of the people living in this country, because most of them are sacks of shit who don't need to be breathing. And again, that's for my survival. That's because I have, for all of my adult life, I have seen what is going on in this nation. I was 18 when 9/11 happened, and I saw what a nation of sorry-ass motherfuckers lived here. Hated the truth, went with all the lies, wanted to fight the guy who saw what was going on. And again, these people are a fucking disgrace. They have just bowed down to evil, worshipped at the altar of evil, and just gone right along with these evil agendas, haven't given two licks about all the people that have been murdered in the Middle East under, bombs and missiles and drone strikes, haven't given two shits about them, these same evil fucks that refuse to see what's going on in this world. They would rather watch these rigged fucking football games and tell me they're not rigged when I've been proving it for years that they are, So, again, it's like they're trying to train you what's crazy and wrong, and that's why they're always associating like these mass shooters with people who question the government. It's because there are a lot of people who feel like I do. There's not enough, but there are a lot, and if they ever got organized and got down to business, some shit might actually happen in this world that would end the agenda for the cabal and maybe tip humanity. And again, radical things are going to happen for what needs to happen. And some people might have to go. A lot of people might have to go. I don't see what's wrong with that, honestly. I don't see what's wrong with it at all. Look at what the masses are doing right now. They're teaching all the younger generations to live in fear, and that's what all this has been about. Sandy Hook, all the drills they now do at school, banging on doors, acting like a shooter's in the school. Teacher has you turn off the lights, all get in the corner. If you have a door with a window on it, hide in the corner where they can't peek in through the window and see you. Like a realistic simulation of a crazy person's in the building. This is what we send our children to school for, to learn lies and then live in fear about how somebody might come shoot up their school like Sandy Hook. Now they got to put a mask on and be vaccinated by criminal Pfizer. And look, everybody's just marching along, acting like I'm a bad guy for pointing out the fascist agenda. I got the right to blow off everybody's head who has that perspective, who won't come around to what's really going on, That's my right as a human. And you know how I know it's right? Because of my mind that was given to me by God like everyone else. But the one thing about my mind is I think I got a lot less pollutants in it than most people did when they were children. And that's because I grew up in Portland, Oregon, where fluoride's not in the water. That might have been my one blessing in this world. But I gotta say, my sister grew up in Portland and she's fucking retarded. So I hate to say that about my sister, but she is. After 9/11, she thought I wasn't taking it seriously enough. She thought I needed gas masks and all sorts of safety things because the terrorists could get us on any location. I was just like, Jen, if I need gas masks, it's not because of terrorists. It's because the government's going to throw off some poisonous gas in my community. She's just buying the whole narrative and everything. And I said, can't you see they did this to start wars? That's what this is about. I don't know if they need to blow up any more places. That was my hunch after 9/11. I was like, that's probably enough. We're already going over there, invading there. Where are we going to invade next? The drum was rolling for Iraq for a long time before it happened. But, yeah, my sister, she just wants to live in ignorance, and she just represents America like a lot of people. If you're going to ask me would I blow my sister's head off, no, somebody else would have to do that. I'm not going to shoot my own sister, and I'd feel bad too. I'm not that heartless. She is my own sister, but she really does represent what's wrong with the world. She's super ignorant. She's super rude. She's super invested in all the lies. She already got all of her children vaccinated. Just like, my God, Jen. I mean, are you serious? But again, just so easily ruled by the TV, so American. And I remember as a child, she loved watching TV and soap operas. I was never into it. You know, the first time I ever really sat down in the TV and did anything with her was when she brought home a Nintendo. Her and her boyfriend were playing Tecmo Bowl when I came home from school. It was like 1988, 89, somewhere around there. And I was like, oh, I can kind of get down with this Tecmo Bowl. It's kind of fun. But I always wanted to play outside, man, not watch TV. And it wasn't just my sister. I noticed that growing up, just kids addicted to TV. They'd want to end the games we were playing outside to go inside and watch TV, play a video game. I'm like, come on, man. You're going to ruin this game to go play that game on the TV? Are you out of your mind? But yeah, it's just, it's just funny looking back at your whole life and just being like, damn, man, you kind of saw what was wrong with the world as a 6-year-old, how the TV already had everybody. But yeah, here, coming back to this verse, beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes or thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. This is the King James Version, so it's the Shakespeare version. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. So again, all this talk of trees in this verse too, right? And good and evil. It's just like Genesis 3:2:2. Remember Genesis 3:2:2, and the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. And in Gematria, knowing good and evil, here, let me spell it. Knowing good and evil, you see how it's 201? The phrase knowledge is power is also 201. Knowledge is power is 201, right? The founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola, is 201. The first Jesuit pope is Jorge Mario Bergoglio, Pope Francis. His birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201. And he's the first ever Jesuit pope and the first ever to live in Suite 201, which is called the Domus Sanctae Martyr, which is 201. And when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, the Jesuit order is 201, right? The Jesuits were saved by Catherine the Great, who preserved the order with 201 Jesuits. There's all this 201 stuff in Jesuit history. And Event 201 was the coronavirus pandemic simulation, right? Put on by the Jesuits. Literally by a Jesuit, Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum. And hold on. My mind is tired. I've been doing videos all day. Been working all day. But hold on. What was I saying about the 201? Big with the Jesuits. Oh, here, by the way, just for another 201, you know one of the other main sponsors of Event 201 was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where William Henry Gates, Bill Gates' full name's 201. And again, Melinda has the same birthday as the Jesuits. In reverse, William Henry Gates, 258. His dad died on the 258th day of 2020, plus all the other 258 stuff with him. Again, that's why you got to know these ciphers forwards and backwards. His name's also 84 like Jesuit. But, what was I saying? Oh, I was talking about loyal. Oh, the wolves. Okay, I know what I was saying. Now it's coming back. I'm getting Alzheimer's. Okay, but 201, right? Knowing good and evil is in that phrase for Genesis 3:2:2. 201s are the Jesuits, 322s of Skull and Bones, right? And I must be getting Alzheimer's, man, because I forgot the thought again. It slipped out of my mind. Here's a different thought that's related. The 3:2:2 verse, Genesis 3:2:2. Remember, we started with Mike McCarthy on his 322nd day of his age. Genesis 3:2:2 in the NIV and in the KJV, both books. If you take the part, and they're worded differently. They're not worded the same in both. The New International Version goes, and the Lord God said, the man is now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. They both have the knowing good and evil part, but the wording up to that's a little bit different. But notice, if you take that, it's 322, right? When you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology. And if you do this with the King James Version, if you switch the version, you can see the wording is slightly different. Should be in alphabetical order. There we go. King James Version. Hey, how come it went back? Hold on, let me get it right. King James Version, and the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. So slightly different wording, but despite the slightly different wording, same 322. Watch, delete the old one, put in the new one, 322. You see the other ones, the other numbers shifted, but the 322 is still the same in reverse. Again, this stuff's not an accident. It's because all of this stuff goes back to Kabbalah. Now I remember the point I wanted to make. Kabbalah, in Kabbalah, there's the tree of life, and there's also something known as the clip-off, and they're reflections of each other. The tree of life is upwards, and the clip-off is downwards. They're mirrors of each other, but the tree of life is associated with good and knowing God, and the clip-off is associated with evil. So in both of these things, in Matthew and in Genesis, you're talking about trees, good and evil. And in Matthew, you're also talking about wolves, and then you got Loyola, which means wolf and kettle. And then you got their schools like the Loyola Wolf Pack. But the thing about the tree of life is right here. Jewish mysticism is 201. And the most important component of Jewish mysticism is Kabbalah, where the tree of life comes from, which is referenced in Genesis 3:22. And in the tree of life, there are 3 pillars and 22 paths. You see? Kabbalah goes back to Babylon. Kabbalah is older than the Bible. So the Bible, and it being, the way we know it, which is thanks to the Catholic Church, it's clearly paying tribute to all this old knowledge, which is known as the ancient mystery religions. And ancient mystery religions is 322. You see? 322. And you know what Abrahamic religions is? Abrahamic religions is 322, and that's what Genesis is, the basis of the Abrahamic religions. Genesis is the basis of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, which are the Abrahamic religions. They're all based on the story of Abraham. And notice how Abrahamic is 187 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. That's how many chapters are in the Torah, which is the basis of the Abrahamic religions. 187 chapters. Abrahamic's 56 are the most simple. Adam and Eve have 56 children. And with regards to the Jesuits, being the masters of all this, Society of Jesus is 56 and 187 like Abrahamic. So I'm getting near the end. I'm going to give myself a D- for this presentation, but still all the information is here. And the D- is because it's late and I was already tired, but I was like, man, I just found out about this at the end of the day. I was like, I am not letting this go. I just, when I looked at it, I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. Minute 12 long video. It's just, it never ends. And it's just so frustrating to have presented this so well, to use it to predict so many things accurately, to show how much worth there is to this knowledge, how undeniable it is. And still in the information age, almost nobody knows about it. And again, big tech censorship is a big part of it, but so is apathy and willful ignorance. Those are the real pandemics of the time. That's been the pandemic for all of my adult life, and that's what I'm so sick of. I'm sick of everyone's apathy and ignorance. And honestly, I think the only solution for it at this point is, getting a lot of ammo and knocking off a lot of heads. I mean, if you think that sounds evil, I'm sorry, man. I think the world is evil, and the people in it are evil, and they've been taken by evil. And if something's not done about them, if they're not exterminated like a bunch of cockroaches, because that's what they are. And I'll tell you what, humanity is a bunch of cockroaches, because truth is light, and what happens when you give these cockroaches the truth? They scatter like roaches, especially the religious types. So yeah, there's no waiting for a savior. That's bullshit from the Society of Jesus. The problem in this world is they made everybody a little child. They got them as children and they kept them in a childlike mindset, waiting for daddy to come save them, waiting for mommy to come save them, Jesus to come save them, Santa to come save them, whoever to come save them. And they didn't teach people to be accountable for yourself, you know? You got to believe this silly story in a book. God only has one child that he ever sent to earth. You're not one of God's children. Only Jesus is, you know? Again, I'm pretty sure that's the big sick joke. We're the children of God, you know? They invent this middleman. They just invent everything they need to invent to control people. I mean, isn't that what I'm showing you guys every day? The Gabby Petito story is an invented story. Clearly a Jesuit ritual. Now on the day they're recognized by Rome, they're going to tell you she's part of Sandy Hook, another clear Jesuit ritual. The same numbers stamped all over it. You know what I mean? I honestly, you know, like, I wish, like, honestly, if you think this is evil, I'll tell you what I wish I could make happen. Like, if I had a genie in a bottle, I think I would make this exact wish. I'd say, okay, genie, this is what I want. I want somehow everybody in the world that speaks English to see, not this video that I showed, because this video is not very good, but just like one of my short videos that's undeniable, and I want them to watch the video, and if they come to the conclusion that this is just stupid conspiracy theory bullshit, I want that guy from the movie from No Country for Old Men who goes around with the cow bolt gun. If you guys haven't seen No Country for Old Men, the same way they kill... And again, you guys, this is what you should understand about me. I don't even like to kill bugs, man. I'm talking about how easily I'd wipe out these cockroaches, humanity. I'm someone that can't even crush a bug. Like a spider's in the house. I don't even like spiders, really. I got the same phobia from watching Arachnophobia as a child. But, like, I won't even kill the spider. Like, I'll figure out a way to put the spider in a cup with a piece of paper and I'll put him outside. I don't like to kill things, but I'll get rid of these cockroaches in humanity. But again, like, I try not to eat animals. I'd rather just eat vegetables. You know, I'm not, I think things deserve a right to live, unless they've abused that right and now they're ruining the whole world, like the majority of humanity is, at least in the United States of America. And... anyway, my wish would be that they could all somehow see my video, and then if they have a thought like the one I just said, like, oh, there's some bullshit conspiracy, I wish that guy from No Country for Old Men would just appear next to him like Candyman with that bolt gun and just put it right next to their head like he does in the movie and just boom, the end. Because again, I just think that would be such a blessing for the earth, for all these people to just be gone at once. All the shit stains in humanity, the know-it-all losers. You know, the same ones who still can't explain how the only 3 still-framed buildings in history all collapsed on the same day from fire. Do you know what day that was? There's only 3 buildings in history that ever collapsed with still frames from fire. Only 3 in history, and they all happened to fall on the same day, you know? Happened to be September 11, 2001, the day 2 planes took down 3 still-frame buildings. And the third building that fell 8 hours later just happened to be housing all the federal documents against Enron, or a huge portion of them, which was the biggest sponsor of the Bush administration. You know, remember they were being sued back then. All the accounting laws were changing because of what happened with Enron. And then coincidentally, all the federal files were in the third building to fall in New York that day. Wow. Again, I mean, that's why I'm just so sick of living around these cockroaches, man. I've seen it since before I was even old enough to vote. The election of number 43, where his brother was the 43rd governor, you know, in Florida, George W. Bush. And then 9/11 happens right after that, and obvious lie, and the Patriots, and Tom Brady, obvious lie, and just everybody just not seeing through any of it. Just like, what a bunch of inept morons I live around. God, everywhere, you know? And again, the reason I don't really have any sympathy for these people, and I really think they need to be exterminated, and I'm being crystal clear about this, you guys, because I'm not joking. I think this is what needs to happen. I can't do it myself as a one-man army, but it's time to, like, form a force and do something about what's going on in the world. Otherwise, there's going to be nothing decent for anybody, you know? Can't you see that there's a war going on right now? And the thing is, there's no opposition, so... You know, the Jesuit effort is just, It's just steamrolling society right now. And just in just the most mocking of fashion. That's what's the problem with the dopes. The dopes aren't going to see that this is them being mocked again. Just like they can't see that they can't see that this is a mocking. They can't see the obvious symbolism of this picture. You can see she's got her Apple iPhone there. I got to make a point, you guys. Apple computer logo. It's an apple with a bite out of it, right? Biblical. Biting the forbidden fruit, right? We know that Apple priced their first consumer computer at $666. The word Genesis in reverse Sumerian gematria equals 666. Big number in Genesis. Man made on the sixth day. God regrets making man in Genesis 6:6. Genesis 666, the big number from the end of the Bible. Revelation, which is based on the 39 books of the Old Testament. Have you ever noticed the 666 in the Google logo? Google celebrates their birthday September 27th, the same day the Jesuits were recognized by Rome, the same day we find out Gabby Petito was part of the Sandy Hook story. But Google's logo, if you look at the green section and the blue in the middle is like, the whole thing is the 6. The same thing with the red part and the blue, 6. The yellow and the blue, 6. Like 3 6s intertwined. You know what's funny about that? The cop in the Gabby Petito video. Hold on. His tattoo is kind of similar. And again, I'm not sure about the cop, but it's... Let me see. The officer at the beginning of this video, if you've seen it. I think I screenshotted it here. Right here. This, in a way, is kind of like 3 6s, just changed the position, but the bottom of the number all meeting in the middle. His tattoo, this is from the video. The officer who didn't ask for license or registration until like 5 minutes into the video. It's like, come on, man. It's the first thing a cop asks for if they pull you over. License and registration. Or, do you know what I pulled you over for? But then it would be license and registration right after that, not 5 minutes after trying to be camp counselor. But anyway, Google's got the 666, right? Apple's got the clear 666 connection. Remember, they were the first two companies to begin working with the federal government on tracing what people's behaviors were in the time of the pandemic, which they made public information. And we know in gematria, computer equals 666, and so does internet. And the COVID pandemic was simulated at Claydex May 15, 2018, 666 days before the pandemic was declared. 666. The mark of the beast, which you must have if you want to buy or sell. Like they're making all these rules in the time of the pandemic about giving up sovereignty over your body. Going around with your slave muscle if you want to buy or sell. Mask, mark, 1 letter off. But again, the reason all this is possible... By the way, the current CEO of Google is Sundar Pichai, whose name equals 201, like the Jesuit order. Again, they celebrate their birthday on the day the Jesuits were recognized by Rome. But again, all this stuff is biblical, and the reason why it's also encoded and executed with such perfection is because we're talking about a class of people, a society, an ongoing organization that goes back thousands of years that is well ingrained in doing this. Again, the Hebrew alphabet, which goes back to Babylon, was letters and numbers. We learn about letters and numbers through Greek, the Greeks also, that's another example, and the Greeks wrote the New Testament in the story of Jesus or Jupiter Zeus, and, but Roman numerals, letters and numbers, right? Roman numerals every year for your Super Bowl. And look how they do it. Like last year, Super Bowl 55 was Super Bowl LV in Roman numerals. You see how LV is 34 with the alphabetic order and 7 with the alphabetic order and rules numerology? Brady won his 34th playoff game in Super Bowl LV and his 7th Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Those are the 2 ciphers I learned from Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And yes, if I shared that with somebody, and if I said, don't you think, hey, let me tell you something. You know how last year was Super Bowl LV? And the person said, oh, yeah. What about it? Let me show you something cool. If you write out L and V in English, L's the 12th letter with the alphabetical order, V's the 22nd, that's 34. And if you use numerology, LV7, Brady won his 34th playoff game and his 7th Super Bowl, and like, dude, do you know how fucking dumb you sound? Because people respond to you like that if you share something like that with them. Like, they'll respond that way, and you're like, what the fuck, man? Why are you, like, talking shit to me when I'm sharing something with you that, man, you could be making money off? You would have carried this conversation 5 minutes forward, you'd be making some money this weekend because I'd be telling you some more shit. But people respond like that. And honestly, you guys, I pray for the demise of all the people in the world that are like this. I pray that they get the vaccine and they drew the short stick. Because all these people need to fucking go. And there's way too many of them. And I've been dealing with them my whole life. They gotta go. They gotta go. They don't deserve to live. I know those are big words, but they don't. They don't deserve to live, you guys. Evil is flourishing in this world because people are not doing anything about it, and way too many people seem to be on board with it and cheerlead it and hate on anything that goes against it. And again, for a lot of you Christians, I'm going to let you know right now, you guys are evil scumbags, and I'm going to read from your own verse, and I'm going to explain to you why you can't see the difference between good and evil. Okay? I'm going to make it real clear for you right here. All right. Let's read from your Bible again. Matthew 7:15 through 20. Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. See, that doesn't describe me. That's not how I am. Ye shall know them by their fruits. That's how frauds are in this world. A lot of them are on the nightly news, politicians. That's who these people are. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Okay, I don't care how much you dislike me because we don't have the same religious belief. If you don't think what I brought into the world is good fruit, you are fucking evil. I'm telling you, you can't go anywhere and find anything in this world that is exposed evil more clearly than what I have done. I'm sorry, you can't. You can't find anybody ever in the history of the truth community who worked 8 years straight every day, pumped out nothing but, I mean, on top of 30,000 blog posts, over 10,000 videos, most of which have been deleted, in these same 8 years, this is how productive I've been. This is my first book. Do you see how big this book is? This isn't like big pictures and big words. This is a huge, massive book. This is 5 years of nonstop work, rewritten, re-edited. And here's my second book. It's no small feat. This is a big book. This book's nearly 400 pages long. So in the 8 years I've been here, and the thing is, if you could read through my books and look at what's been going on since I released them, there's just a gazillion more examples to back up everything I'm saying. It's just like just like where I started with the football game, showing you what I said. This has to come through. All these 41s, and then the score's 41. You know what I mean? It's the same shit. That's what my book is, you guys. Since September of 2020, when this book released, everything written here, there's 100 more examples that have happened in the ongoing agenda to prove every word written in here. I said Gabby Petito is clearly a Jesuit ritual. So Sandy Hook is clearly a Jesuit ritual. These are all things I've explained. And here, on the big Jesuit day, which I've made crystal clear about how important this day is in both my books to the Jesuits, you get this, bringing Gabby Petito and Sandy Hook together. I've been telling you the whole R. Kelly thing's a big Jesuit ritual on this same day. It's just unbelievable, you guys. I mean, how do people not see it? R. Kelly's 54 years old, Jesuit Order 54, on this day, and then they say sentencing's going to be May 4th, 5-4, after we just talked about what they did with Michael K. Williams at age 54 in The Wire and May 4th in the same month. Come on, man. That's why it's just the way I see it is, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and I totally agree with that saying. I think that's 1,000,000% true. And what I've tried to do for 8 years is bring up these weak links. And what I realize after 8 years is I don't have time to try to bring them up anymore. I have to cut off these fucking links before we all go down. You know what I mean? And I should have the right to say and express these things as an American, a society, a nation that was supposedly born out of a revolution where you had to kill the enemy. I see what the enemy is. It's this Jesuit scum and almost all of humanity that they've taken with it. If these people don't go, we're all going, man. It's that simple. And is it better for us all to go? No, it's not. It's not. Some people deserve to be here. You know? If good people remained, you could make the world a good place again, if it ever was. I mean, I imagine there were times the world was in a lot better place than before the Jesuit scum spread all over. You know, they say the longest ongoing democracy in the history of the world was what the Native American tribes had here before the European settlers came. So, anyway. D- on the presentation, but it's all there, and so is all the psycho talk for all the critics. But understand it's not really psycho talk. You're actually hearing the thoughts of a sane man and what more sane people would realize if we lived in saner times, where sanity was still an option. The only option for most people is just to be part of the herd, just doing and believing everything they've been told since they were 2 years old. So, thou shalt not kill. I never heard God speak that to me. It's written in a book that somebody told me God wrote, but again, that sounds like a load of shit, just like everything else that's been shoveled to me my whole life. And again, take a good look at that Jesuit logo with the IHS and the T right in the middle of it. Read it backwards and look at the T as not, I said T, but a cross. Look at the cross as a T. And again, shit is what their logo says. And again, this is the sodomy gang. And this is the gang that feeds people literally shit every day. Laughable shit. Embarrassingly laughable. So, before I go, it's going to bother me if I can't think of who the tennis player is. Tennis player. Dune Blaine Massacre. Andy Murray. There he is. Andy Murray reveals how close he was to death in Dune Blaine Massacre. And this got all the gun rights taken away in the UK. You know. They said Dune Blaine, they targeted first graders. Look, first graders. Most simple cipher, 144, just like Jesuit order. See? They make it look so easy to just control the masses, man. All right. I need to go to bed. So, yeah.